Weight gain in perimenopause is extremely frustrating and feels defeating. What you were doing in your 30s is not working in your 40s and 50s. So many women have sort of things that help them lose weight when they're in their 30s, maybe eating less or exercising more, or eating less carbs, and it's not working in perimenopause. So why is that? Why is there such a change, and what do you need to do? And we're going to talk about that today. 10 tips for losing weight in perimenopause. Tip number 1, and I know you've heard this before, but it's not about calories out and calories in. If it was that simple, we would all be in a calorie deficit and just be shedding weight like crazy. But what happens in perimenopause is your hormones change. These declining ovarian hormones make things more difficult for other hormones, because normally estrogen, especially estradiol, kind of plays nicely in the sand with insulin, ghrelin, leptin, cortisol, all these other hormones. And when you go through perimenopause and start losing estradiol, I often describe her as the bossy aunt in your family, right? She's involved in everybody's business, and you need her to have good, proper metabolism. And when you go through perimenopause, you suddenly realize that the concept of calories in and calories out doesn't work. So you have to actually eat more. Yep, I said that. Because what happens is the number one mistake women make is they tend to stop eating as much and exercising more. So they eat less, exercise more, and then the body actually gets kind of stressed out. Cortisol levels go up. That interferes with your metabolic set point, and then you start to gain weight. So that's the common mistake. So actually you need to eat more, but you need to eat more nutrient-dense foods. You need to eat the right foods. You need to eat the right foods for your biology. 2, prioritize protein. Yes, protein has to be a priority. As we age, we lose muscle mass. In fact, we lose 8% of muscle mass per decade. And muscle is your best metabolic organ. It's the only organ in your body that does not care about insulin. It will take the calories, the glucose from your blood. It will use it to make fuel, to make energy, and it doesn't care whether or not insulin is involved in the process or not. So when you lose muscle, you basically kind of lose this metabolism organ, right? So when you were in your 20s and you were able to build muscle so easy and maintain muscle, you had this fat burning machine that was with you. But then when you get in your 40s, the muscle mass goes down. And because of that, you start having to actually work at losing or changing your metabolism. And it starts becoming a problem. So you have to prioritize protein, and you have to prioritize strength training. What does strength training mean? It means that you're going to be lifting heavier weights. So most of us who are in our 40s, 50s, and beyond, we're used to this sort of weight training where we kind of did toning, right? You're like 5 pounds, 10 pounds. It's not really, that's not strength training. Strength training is building muscle. So you need to lift heavier muscle. So building muscle requires you to lift heavier weights to basically lift to fatigue. So if you normally are used to a set of 3, so if I'm doing, say, bicep workout and I'm used to only lifting 10 pounds, my first set might be 10 pounds, but my second is going to be 15, and my third set is going to be 20 potentially, because I want to lift to fatigue. That's going to be where I will be stressing the muscle out enough to build. So strength training needs to be about heavier weights and weight training to fatigue. So tip 2 and 3 are about the muscle mass, right? Using this metabolic organ. Because if you have less muscle mass, you have less metabolism. You have a slower metabolism. You also develop insulin resistance. So building muscle, prioritizing protein is about changing that metabolism. Number 4, hydration is a must. Yes, very commonly people sort of say, I get enough water, but honestly, you need hydration to keep your metabolic set point. And you need to be focusing on a pretty much like half of your body weight in ounces of water. So, and this is ideal body weight. So if your ideal body weight is 140 pounds, you should be focusing on 70 ounces of water a day. Tip number 5, intermittent fasting, right in there, right? So I'll say intermittent fasting isn't for everyone. Some women don't do well with it. I've had some patients in the past with autoimmune conditions and they don't do well with intermittent fasting, but I think starting and trying is a great idea. I typically recommend to my patients to try it once a week. The way that you start intermittent fasting is you want to focus first on a 12-hour eating window. So if you stop eating dinner at 6, you can't eat breakfast until 6 a.m. So start first with a 12-hour window. Then you can build from there. In other words, if you're eating in a 12-hour window on a Monday morning, then maybe the following Monday you can do a 13-hour fast. So now you're decreasing your window of eating to 11 hours. So kind of gradually building up to being able to do, say, an 18-hour fast is a great way to do it as opposed to just hitting it hard. Because what women can notice who go straight to 18 hours of fasting, they might start developing headaches, feel weak, feel cranky, feel hangry. So build yourself up to that. And again, there's a lot of good data about intermittent fasting in women in midlife and helping with weight loss, but it might not be for everyone. Tip number 6, sleep.